They think he's like not comfortable on anything outside of Yone Jace, right? And they put him to Victor and he just didn't seem that useful. So I kind of get it. Yone, the problem is they're banning Maokai as well, or giving him Maokai. And if you just give Yone Maokai, if you ban Maokai, then they could just take Sejuani. And then Yone Sejuani also works really well. It does look like they're going to be banning Tristana, something that if you head on over to Denvoxnay's OPGG, it's like his only champion he's playing right now in solo queue. Like, it's so spammed, it's unbelievable. LeBlanc taken out as an adaptation. Decide, you know what, we can't deal with Omen's LeBlanc. The side laning's too difficult, the lane's too difficult. We don't have any answers if they ban Jace and Yone. And what are we waiting for, really? Rumble, Rel, Maokai, Sejuani, Xayah Rakan. No, Rakan's out good. These are the champions I'm looking at.
Yeah, crucially, it left the Azir open, which was banned last time by Nativz. So that has been left open. But Nord repeating their bans identically for that game number 1. The question is where's the adaptation? It looks like it is just going to be an instant lock on that rail. Now, maybe it's a Rumble Xayah angle here for Nord, so they don't just give over the Rumble rail.
I wasn't too sold on the rail last game, to be honest with you. I didn't feel like it was first pick worthy, especially considering what Nord managed to pick up on the other side. They could get the Azir here as well, which I don't think Omen really likes to play. Obviously, having the blank band this time changes that up. So, I don't know if I'm sold on the real first pick. That's all I'll say, because, you know, they just get it whatever Nord. I think Nord are just taking good trades. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I think here, the picks I'm looking at are the Rumble, like you said. Unless they double down and say, you know, we have answers into this Rumble and it's not going to be a problem. I just think Shikari is so good on it. Right, you saw he was 3-0-3 despite losing the game. He just kept having such big influence to stop the entire team from attacking. Now, tanks, if they do lock in this Azir, they've got a crazy front-to-back team composition with both backliners. They have locked it in. And there's the Kai'Sa too. Tanks go up in priority now for the side of Nord. Maokai, Sejuani, they need frontline, top lane, and in the jungle, you know, with economy, not just in the support role, which is something we saw Nativz do before, and it just didn't work out. There it is. There's the Braum. That works so well. That's so much disengage for the engaged composition of the Kai'Sa rel.
Alrighty, well, a bit of an adaptation this time coming in from the side of Nativz, changing things up somewhat. Bans coming in on these sides now. Let's see what they do decide to pick up as their bans. I feel like Rumble is still a really solid ban here. Obviously, it's very AP leaning from Nativz, so maybe they don't want to go down that angle. But I do feel like the Azir obviously did change things up. They didn't really want to be picking the Victor into that. So we'll see what they're going to look to ban away. They do decide to ban away the Vi. I think that also is a pretty solid ban on that front. Yeah, that kind of targeted CC coming in from that Vi can be something that's a real menace for the likes of Hiddo if he doesn't time his ultimate perfectly.
I really like that as well, right? Because if you ban away some of the strong AD junglers, well, that leaves AP junglers to really be the only choice. And then you definitely can't go the Rumble, because then you've got a top mid jungle, all AP based, which really wouldn't be good for you in the 2v2s. So I like these bans from Nord, because it's kind of shadow banning away the Rumble, you could say, because banning these strong AD junglers, I mean, what's left for Stefan now? He has to go something like the Maokai, maybe.
Yeah, banning away the Nocturne makes a lot of sense as well. You deny that Nico plus Nocturne combo where you hide the Nico ult in the invis, and it's really hard to play against, right? What they're doing is banning away a really hard engage to Xayah, because while Xayah is really good at versus engage, you can overwhelm her. If you pop her ultimate, then keep engaging. She can't do anything about it, right? Or play with flank. So they're banning away a lot of the really free hard engage to overwhelm her. And is that locked in?
That's locked in.
We're actually seeing an Ivan.
You know that down as well,
yeah, I mean, okay, so Ivan's really good, right? He's really hard to play, but Indecision plays kind of anything mechanical, right? He loves it. He's a Nidalee player. So, yeah, no, more peel and more backline dive. They really need a tank top now.
It's been, like, permabanned for most of the season. Like in most of our matches, like, people have really been banning the Ivan. Players have come around, and it's like fell out of the ban phase entirely, but no one's been picking it up. So it's really cool to see them get that. Nativz, though, makes sense. They do want to lock in this Rumble. I actually think it's a little disrespectful from Nord to let them get the Royal Rumble 2 games in a row. Yeah, they did win versus it last time, but even so, that is a scary one. They are going to finalize there with an AD jungler, like you were talking about, Duckling, and they're going to lock in the Kha'Zix.
Yeah, they had to do one of those choices. I would have probably gone for the Trundle personally, just because, you know, Nord would have had to go on a tank top lane, and stealing his resistances away would have left this composition really, really squishy. But the Kha'Zix as well is something Stefan has played throughout his whole professional career, but he's now spending many years. So it's definitely something I'm happy to see him get to play again. I just would have preferred something different.
Yeah, I think the Trundle might become a little bit difficult as the game goes on. Like, I don't know how you play versus Daisy. You just keep getting knocked up. We saw this on Team Heretics. Jankos trying to play Trundle into the Ivern, and he was a bot, right? It's really useless. The Kha'Zix pick I want to highlight, though, is really, really interesting, because he works really well. He's super flexible. He can be really good in front to back comps to create space for your AD carry to hit with that invis threat. and the Ws, or he can play dive like this, right? So they have a very big dive composition. They have Kai'Sa engage, following up the Rel or the Nico engages, and then Kha'Zix to layer on top of that, as well as a Rumble Ult to throw on top of that, right? So it's really about Peel versus hard engage here. Who can come out on top? Hiddo has to play extremely well to make sure he's not overwhelmed, and they've got to keep attention to those flanks.
I mean, honestly, Nativ's drafts have been really on point. I love the draft they're putting together. And I think, if I'm going to be completely honest, I prefer what Nativs have draft. But what we saw from Nord last game, it kind of almost as if draft didn't matter to them. And
yeah,
I'm interested by this one. I think the major difference in this game, though, between this one and last one was last game, they would basically take Hiddo out of the fight. But the problem is Omen and Kakos would then just be a threat. They've only got a double damage threat here with the Xayah and the Azir. So it's really going to have to come down to Hiddo to position right, because if he gets caught by that Rumble ultimate, by the Rel ultimate, he's in some serious danger. So I'm going to be curious to track how this fight's going to go down. But Omen was the chief carry for me in the last game. He's been so on fire all the playoffs, and he's on that Azir. There's a reason it's been getting banned away from him. The few games we've seen on it, he has just been so good on the Pigeon.
So just to foreshadow what's going to happen with the Kha'Zix, because it's not a common pick. Right, typically the most important thing with the Kha'Zix, his dream scenario is hitting level 5 and Dirk, like, uncontested. Okay, and you look over to the side of Nord, they have the exact same thing. Ivan doesn't want to be contested. His big weakness is early game as well. So Nativz didn't go down the route of shutting down the Ivan. They actually matched scaling and want Stefan on this Kha'Zix to have a big impact, right, on this carry, which is something that they did last time. So Prio matters a lot here. Can they be invaded? Because mid lane, Nico has a lot of prio into the Azir. It's a really good matchup. Azir can't auto-attack with his soldier, because if he stands still to auto-attack, he takes a second tick of the what's the Q called? Your brain.
No.
Pop Blossom. That's the ultimate.
That's the ultimate.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The second tick of that, right, the Q. And top lane you lose as a tank into Ornn, and then bot lane isn't exactly great getting prio, so Kha'Zix is free to do what he wants.
I need to know. I need to know what it is.
One thing I do want to say, though, that I'm really happy with this Nativz draft is giving den Vox 980 carry, where he can self-peel, you could say, with the killer instinct, trying to reposition as well with the E. Yeah, he's able to play the team fights way easier than in the last game, because pretty much every time last game, even if he did have the flash up, he would be just followed through with the Jax Q from Karshkos or Omen jumping over the wall, then Vox and flashed over. So the thing is, he couldn't really do anything in the team fights. He was being flanked left, right, and center, and he was the big goal threat. He was the one with the damage and all the goal on the team, and he just got assassinated every single fight. And this time, he has that agency to really find the right position and dish out the damage that he needs to dish out if Nativz wants to win a game in this final.
Yeah, but coming from a pure draft perspective, there is going to be zero action, right? I'd be willing to bet this might be the quietest game of the split. Bot lane, there's just so much disengage. I imagine there might be some trading around bot side, because Indecision loves to ask his bot lane to trade heavily to force summoners, you know, and stuff like this, so that his ganks can be doable, but I really doubt it, right? Ivan just wants to scale up for team fights. The same with the Kha'Zix. He wants to scale up to level 5, like we highlighted, get to that Dirk, and then make plays. And every other lane is extremely quiet too, right? Scaling. You have a bit of setup with that Nico, so maybe a surprise gank there, but it's just not happening. So expect a quieter one until Herald the Dragon.
Absolutely. Well, Vladdy just going to get himself somewhat chunked out here by Omen, but Omen also taking a lot of damage from that Blooming Burst.
Blooming Burst. Ooh. Thank you.
There you go.
I had no idea.
It's heavily chunked out. We'll see if Indecision can do anything about this, but he is on, you know, on the Ivan, so wants to grab his camps, and it's been a while. Not sure how much he's really going to offer in the Azir Ivan duo.
I think he offers a decent amount, not for just strictly the mid jungle, right? But in terms of team fights, Daisy can function as another tank, right?
Yeah. Just
like if the enemy has a Sejuani, you match with a Daisy, right? It's very, very silly. And that can block skill shots for you if you micro Daisy properly. It can act as a front line for your AD carries to hit to create space. You have an Azir and a Xayah who need space to be able to hit. So you have a lot of that with the Daisy, between the Ornn, the Daisy, and the Braum. I think Hiddo has all the tools to carry. I really do. As long as they're on the objective first and enemies are trying to dive into them, which is how exactly Nativz want to play, I think he can definitely pull it off.
Yeah, Hiddo this time opting for the exhaust as well, so in the team fight, whenever he gets engaged upon us, I might have to hold that thought. Good concussive blows stacking up in the box, but it looks like the kills won't be coming through. So with that exhaust, Hiddo will be able to play the team fights differently. He has to be careful of being caught up by CT. No longer has to cleanse, but if, for example, it's just Stefan who jumps upon him, that exhaust would be very massive, or even in 1v1s where potentially then Voxney jumps in with
Look
the
top.
instinct to try and finish him up.
Look top, look at the HP on Catch Cost. He's really chunked. I could see in the top right his HP. This might be a straight up dive. Shikari is really high HP and Physics does a lot of damage. Let's see Catch Cost if he stays in the minions. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Too healthy and a potion sticking.
Yeah, he's fine. Able to dodge around that harpoon as well. So doesn't take a little bit of bonus bursts there from Shikari, although Shikari then toasts him immediately after.
Yeah. Maybe I was a bit optimistic. You could probably tell I'm a bit scarred from Rumble in solo queue. He's he's a disturbing champion right now.
Yeah, he's. I mean, we've seen so much of him in playoffs. It's one of those picks where I am surprised that teams do keep letting him through because he's so powerful as a team fighter and a laner. But it's really rough playing into it. It's just like whoever gets that just feels like their top lane just gets to play the game while the other top laner doesn't in response. Yeah. Though Kakos, to be fair to him, last game actually handled that lane very well. This time on the Ornn, so doesn't quite have the same tools and is down a little bit in that farm department right now. Has got a wave crashing into him, so we'll be able to somewhat alleviate that CS difference, but not a major amount, to be honest.
Yep. Despite having weaker matchups in mid and top lane, they aren't falling behind too much. The Nico nerfs might have a thing to do with that, but still, like, those mainly hit her ultimate, right? The ability to appear in front of them with that ultimate, appear in front of the enemy with the ultimate with no reaction time, that doesn't really exist anymore. Seneca moves to mid, but nothing's going to happen. It's not quite the level 6 wave. The level 6 wave is next wave, 530, and maybe then, when Omen has the shuffle, Seneca can come alongside the Ivan and do something, but still, very likely not going to happen. Vladdy is equally strong.
I mean, Twist is rotated up as well. Drake is on the map. Maybe if they find something here, they could find an avenue, but obviously, not expecting too much action here early on. Stefan has managed to get the level 5. Still hasn't got this rated, not quite enough gold in his inventory, as I would expect this first Drake to be taken if just one of the teams are able to find a window where, for example, they catch each other out and, oh, you're reaching at a bad time, I'll punish you by getting the Drake.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Stefan's actually wasted a lot of time towards this mid lane. Twist as well, actually. Omen, his spider senses have been tingling because he has been keeping himself just spaced enough that he can WE out if he needs to.
Yeah, and wave stacking down bot side. I wonder if they're going to transition to this to Dragon or a dive. Probably not a dive. It's probably going to be too difficult. But now, with Nativz bot lane stuck down bot farming, as Denvoxne couldn't contest, because, yeah, like you said, Twist was just shadowing mid for so long in the hopes that something could happen. But this is what happens when you draft no agency across the map. You just have the handshake scaling. And honestly, Nord come out on top here because of how much Twist was sharing XP or getting none at all.
Absolutely. And that is going to be Dragon number 1 as well, over to Nord. I'll be quite happy with that one as a decision. Able to finish that Dragon up. And Stefan actually went towards the top side to see if he can make something happen top side, but Kakos also paying respect, knowing his whole team have stacked up to that bot side, so there is a chance that if he gets ganked, he's not going to have a single person in range to be able to help him. So handling that as well as he can, and there is a gold lead building up in the top side, but Kakos, he's handling it relatively well. The CS lead hasn't gone insurmountable, and he is level 6, so he still has that Ornn as a tool to work with. Is rocking the Ignite thanks to his spellbook, though, so I don't really foresee that getting too much use, unfortunately, versus the
Never
Rumble.
underestimate the Ornn damage. I mean, if he gets a perfect combo, maybe he could actually find some use for it, but it's probably not going to happen with Shikari being full HP. I do like the optimism, though, on Kashkas taking that Ignite. Regardless, though, as we're expecting, the game is moving very slow. I do want to point out that Voxney able to get his second recall through already, and hasn't really, gotten the most success with his call, buying it a bit later, so he will be behind when that comes through from the side of Hiddo, but I don't know how much it's really gonna mean, just to the fact that, as you said earlier, Aragon, scaling has been handshaked. Yeah,
I mean, level 6 and just generally around the 8-minute mark, both teams are actually pretty strong. Right? You look at Ornn with the Ignite for that Rift Herald fight. You have Ivan Daisy becomes so unlocked. You have Azir Shuffle, Braum is really significant as well, and Rumble ult, it can't all be underestimated, as well as the Pop Blossom. So, Indecision actually going to make a tempo gank here. Gank top lane into unlocking that Rift Herald fight if you kill Shikari, but that ward's going to spot him out. That's going to buy so much time for Nativz.
His sweeper timed out as he got to it as well. I think it just timed out, so he would have seen it die out. It would be aware of this.
Started up.
Stefan has started this Rift Herald, so doesn't look like Nord are really going to be able to do too much about this. They are actually rotating everyone over, but Shikari has that equalizer, and he could just burn the tree here. They're going to throw everything down. They got all the knockup. There he goes. First blood for
that is
Twist.
so low.
Equalizer down in response here as Kakos can't find an answer out. They do try and get themselves something onto Shikari, and Nord lose their mid laner, but they actually might just get the Herald off the back of this. They've got Smite on Indecision. Pop it goes. And that is somehow a Nord play, but went not as bad as it could have.
Yeah, really, really odd stuff. I think the fundamental problem for Nord there was that they just started so separate, and of course the vision that revealed Indecision in that first push meant that they knew they could start it up. Nativz knew that they could start this Rift Herald without being contested very early on, but then so much AoE comes down from Shikari, right? And everyone has to from Catchcost, and everyone from the side of Nativz has to flash away or be one shot and actually knocked up on the Azir wall. There's a nice little interaction there where I believe it was Vladdy and Stefan had to flash away. So in the end, 2 chunked, right? The damage goes on the right people. Stefan and Vladdy are chunked out, and Nord secure that Rift Herald.
The unfortunate thing though for Nativz, despite picking up that first blood, the kill went on to Twist, so that's quite a lot of gold injected into him, where I would have liked to have seen it gone on to Vladdy or Stefan, who would have been a bit more scared with that snowballing starting to potentially build up. Instead, it's ended up on the support, who will obviously gladly take it, but it just doesn't really have as big of an impact as it could have had on Stefan or Vladdy.
Yeah, definitely suboptimal on that front, unfortunately.
Now, where does Ivan place this Rift Herald, right? Because I wonder if they're going to play mid into bot, maybe, or wait for the next Dragon. Dragon's up in 1:30. What you're probably going to do, if you're Indecision, is place Rift Herald down mid and use that as tempo for the Dragon to be able to move into the river first and have that mid lane priority. Then you potentially, you have them coming into you, which is exactly the situation you want as that Braum, Xayah, Ivan, and Azir. So let's see how they do that. They got a lot of time. You can see Indecision and Seneca already here.
Yeah, getting set up for this play a little bit ahead of time. Also going on that reset, wanting to get as much items purchased as possible prior to this Dragon play. Has actually got the Kraken Slayer finished up, where Voxney only sitting on just the components right now. So a pretty big spike here for Nativz. Moments before this objective comes up. Omen still sitting on that teleport as well. I think he's just been back to base recently though, so he probably doesn't have an item he can finish up here. Blasting one does get finished for Vladdy on this recall, and does look like I expect to see Herald go down in this mid lane relatively soon.
I think Catchcost has to use this Ignite at some point so that he can teleport to this fight. Otherwise, he's just going to be stuck there top lane after Shikari teleports. So that might be a bit of a pickle. Stefan going for the Q evolve. That indicates that they want to do these neutral objectives so he can burst them down with that Q cooldown. I think is that red? So he's gone... Am I trolling? I can't tell what is evolved. Regardless,
it's so hard with Kha'Zix. It's so hard with Kha'Zix.
I can't tell.
He is really red, actually. It might have been the ultimate. But
yeah, I thought I saw the Q animation.
No, the claw is so... I mean, it's definitely the Q.
Yeah, I can't tell because of the
skin. I think it's just the chroma has in the skin. It's really confusing.
Yeah.
The worst one is his like floral one. You can't tell what he's upgraded at all. It's awful.
I think it's definitely the Q evolve. They want to, yeah, there it is. That's the empowered Q, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, that was the empowered Q animation.
Yeah, and they want to contest these, this is what you do, right, when you want to do neutral objectives. Sometimes you go W and R evolve, right, to buy space in front to back comps, but since they want to contest these, he does look like he's posturing.
I mean, now they're gonna fight this. They look like they want to.
No, they're gonna jump onto Omen. It's done.
They want this.
Oh, Twist does come in, though. He finds himself the opening. Shikari gets a beautiful equalizer. Voxney launches into the fray and finds himself the kill. Vladdy gets caught by the Pop Blossom, and that's 3 down.
Man, look top lane. Look at Catchcost's summoners and just cringe at yourself, right? Like, why didn't he just ignite Shikari and then have teleport unlocked? Right? Maybe he doesn't have teleport, but I guess we have no way of knowing. Unfortunately, he just could not match the teleport, and that beautiful flank from Twist. I wish we got to see how he got there or when he got there. You can see there's so much blue side vision in that jungle, right? So somehow he managed to sneak through all that red vision and end up behind there with that beautiful gravity.
It was really, really nicely played there by Nativz. I noticed the fact that Kasper had actually initially rotated down towards the mid lane to be able to rotate into the Drake if it was started, but I don't know what the call was from Lord, because he started walking back up towards the top lane, and while he was in the process of walking there, that's when Nativz decided to take the fight. So he didn't have the opportunity to see Shikari while he was TPing to ignite of his own, so he should have just done it, as you said, Aragon, a couple minutes early just to make sure that he would have the TP ready, because he ended up being in a situation where he couldn't get rid of his TP ignite, so he couldn't get the TP and he couldn't join the fight.
Yeah, maybe teleport wouldn't have mattered there because they just did not see the flank coming, and by the time he teleported down, right, the fight would have been over anyway. But still, probably would have had a higher chance to play there. Instead, what you do is you cross map 2 plates onto an Ornn. not exactly optimal, but still in front-to-back composition. The tankier your tank is, the more your AD carries can hit. So just 2 dragons down for Nord, right? Somehow they come off with a dragon there still. Soul Point next in 3 minutes time, but before that it will be Rift Herald. Let's see them contest. A minute's time to Rift Herald. What key components are there? You have Abyssal Mass completed, and let's see what Ornn decides to use gold for.
All right, now is just a moment of kind of calm, but to be fair to Nord, they have been very on it with these objectives. They've been able to pick up every objective they wanted. There's not really been any play that Nativz, they got some kills onto Dem Foxy, but they need to be able to use it to convert that into stuff. A lot of these towers have been chipped away at slowly but surely here by Nord. They charged the Herald into the bot lane. Kakos didn't use his teleport, so he got a couple of plates topside, so that got chunked out. And it's a bit like that previous game where eventually, once these outer towers all crumble, there's a massive injection of cash, but it's not just about that. It's about the map pressure you buy for yourself off the back of it.
I will say, though, with the Herald spawning top as well, Kashkas is pretty strong with all the gold he's gotten injected into himself with the plates as well. And he can rotate down to this one. Now has the TP as well. Won't be needed, but it looks like with the resets coming through from Nord, they just don't have the tempo. Stefan starting this up as soon as it spawns, utilizing the resets from Nord to perfection, and Nativz get their first neutral objective of this game.
Yeah, Nord not going to be able to contest this. Everyone's on a reset, and honestly, Catchcost is kind of right? He was kind of I don't know how he's suddenly gotten full mana, but still, regardless, it might have been a cookie or something. They don't want to contest this. They decided, we're not strong enough. We're 0-4-0 down the board. We're deciding not to do that, and I think they've got to be kicking themselves with that last fight. Going forward, we highlighted in Champion Select, right? A big weakness of Xayah is that your feathers only go one way, right? If you're flanked and you've feather stormed one way because there was a threat one way, and you get engaged on from behind, you can't pull the feathers back and stun them. So over-indexing into hard engage on Slayer works, and we just saw that highlighted there with that beautiful Franklin twist. Next dragon, they've really got to make sure that they sweep behind themselves.
To answer your question, by the way, on the mana front, it's a Chemtech Soul, so there's just lots of plants. That's how Krakos got all his mana back. They, one of those nice things, like, Chemtech, no one really likes getting the Chemtech Soul, but the map is nice because there's so many plants that give so many nice buffs.
And the
move speed from
jumpy
Scry. The jumping plant, the move speed from the Scryers, the shield from the berries. That's all the plants, right? Yeah, there's only 3. I had a moment where I was like, is there only 3 plants in this game?
Yeah, we refuse to use the real names, right? Jumpy plant and berries.
What are the real names?
Honeyfruit and Blastcone.
Don't you know those, Fred?
I know Blastcone, but I actually don't know what the healing one's called.
That's Honeyfruit.
Honeyfruit.
And then there's Scryer's Bloom, which is...
Berries and Jumpy Plant are now lore,
Yeah. You say that now as I've said the name of it, and you just a second ago admitted you only knew Blastcone, but I'll take your word for it.
It's trampoline, binoculars, and berries.
I mean, I like those names better regardless.
25
I
seconds,
will say, though, the game has definitely slowed down again, but Nate is starting to get to the spikes. 5 members actually with Bloody that's towards the mid lane. They want to get the priority with the Drake coming up in 5 seconds as well, so they're setting themselves up nicely for this play. As they're setting themselves up for a pause, I guess, instead.
That's tragic. That's tragic time for that one. But yeah, I think that was a Herald more place for the dragon priority, so they could translate it into their first dragon of the game, more than it was contesting and going for a potential dive, although they do have the tools, and it is scary. And I think this time around, the game's being played native style. Nord are definitely a team who are way better at playing a more aggressive game, a very proactive, fast-paced game. But when you just sit back and farm and slowly kind of roll the gold in, I think that really suits Nativz. And we said it in the last game, they definitely outdrafted Nord, but Nord just outpaced them. In this game, it feels like they've got the draft favor, and they've also got the tempo in the pocket of where they want to be playing, and not how Nord want to be playing. Nord were able to secure that first 2 dragons and the Rift Herald as well. The question is have they really been able to gain much with that other than some plate gold, other than, there's obviously just denial of those early dragons. What are Nord going to do right now? Because it's not like they scale badly. I just think it's strictly in a vacuum space, in a space where you don't really, you take the nameplates off. Nativz just have the easier comp to play. Like, that is just headbutt R and win fight.
Yeah, I think it's easier, but you do have, like, in theory, a good composition into it, right? You have the anti-dive versus the dive. Remember, like, you have Braum, you have Zaya. So, assuming they don't get flanked, which looks very likely. Look at Twist, though, man. He's so cheeky right now, getting that deep vision to try and find TP flank wards, you know, and be able to find these flanks. But they've actually managed, like, Nord have learned from their mistakes. They've learned that we cannot let someone behind us. We cannot let Twist find these flanks, because then Hiddo just can't hit. Right, so we need to facilitate Omen, we need to facilitate Hiddo, and they're actually first on the objective, despite Omen having to clear this wave out.
Yeah, this time, though, the key thing is that they do have Kakos here to buy space with that on-horn, but look on the flank, they've got Twist coming around, and he's going to find a huge Magnet Storm if he's given the opportunity. He's closing in. Hiddo does have all of his summoner spells. They're going to jump straight onto Twist. They're going to try and flash away, but the Pop Blossom follow-up is too big. There's the Feather Storm away to safety. Hiddo gets a huge shield off. Seneca flashes away, but Indecision loses his life. Omen misses the shuffle. Then Voxy loses a lot of HP, but he's still fine. He's still able to keep the pressure going, and now they're chasing after Kakos. Vladdy desperately trying to get onto the kill for Kakos, but he's able to limp away. Blinking health bars on both sides, but Nativz found their opening.
Nativz stay alive with 5. I cannot believe they did that in this fight. Able to get the Drake as well. That flank from Twist was massive. Hiddo seemed to be prepared for it, but he wasn't prepared for the damage that would be as soon as he got hit by one ability. He was able to survive in the end, but it cost Nord pretty much everything in the fight. That chance of winning it was gone. Omen tried to assassinate Den Boxley, but a good flash from him bought enough space for the Danish AD carry to stay alive, and that's Nativz winning a massive fight, and they are solidly, I would say, in the lead in this game.
Yeah, close fights over and over again, right? Like, no washout fights, although health bars are blinking at the end of every single one, right? You saw Stefan there with 1 HP towards the end. Somehow, they managed to push everyone out and survive. Still, this is a problem. Twist is finding these flanks. How does he keep doing it, right? Again, if we had the replay, I really wish we could have seen how he ended up in that spot without Nord finding out. It felt like they put so much emphasis on scouting out the flank, you know, marking them and making sure they do not get flanked like that, but it still happened. And then the Pop Blossom follow-up, just too much for Hiddo. He had to flash out.
Yeah, I feel Hiddo now twice in a row has felt victim to the Rel Nico combination. It's really brutal for him, and Hiddo, honestly, hasn't really got to play much League of Legends in the last 2 games because he's just getting focused by all of this CC. I'm sure he's now going to start to beg them to stop banning out Vladdy's champs and maybe ban this Rel, just because he is getting constantly jumped onto.
I mean, this is what I'm talking about, okay? Zaya's a fantastic champion, right? But there are counters, and typically the counters are, you know, range or over-indexing on CC, right? And that's what they've done, right? They've enabled it with flanks and range, and I just don't think it's a blind pickable champion, especially when Kaiser's up. You're so good at Kaiser, Hiddo. You got a pentakill on the down champion. Please pick it up. But it does look like that's what they want to do. They want to create this composition which peels Hiddo. It's all about him and Omen and allowing them to hit versus what they've drafted on the side of Nativz. Baron's up now. Everyone's moving in to this Baron pit to secure vision. They don't want to give it on over. Red buff is up because the pet has been completed for Indecision. They could share buffs. Then Voxney is trying to contest river control here, but Nord do have his number, and everyone's going to go back to neutral, contesting this mid wave.
It looks like it's going to be the game plan here. 20 minutes on the clock. Gold lead very in favor of Nativz at this point. Nord he's starting to struggle a little bit more. Then Voxney actually going for the on-hit Kaiser. We haven't really... Well, I say on-hit, the crit Kaiser. And not the AP Kaiser.
They need AD.
Yeah, he did this in their game in their final game, I believe, versus Verdant as well. Pulled out the AD Kaiser and won with it. So someone who is willing to kind of break that meta and play towards the you know, a maybe less powerful, but a more optimal for his current team game.
One thing I will say for these team fights, and as the scaling continues to slowly but surely come through, is the pressure on Omen, to me, rises, because throughout this series so far, there has been a clear target from Nativz on Hiddo. It is always the one they target down. They always go for him, whatever it costs. So Omen practically gets to be a little bit more free from in these fights, while Hiddo is fighting for his life. So if there's anyone who's going to be able to win a 5v5 for Nord, in my opinion, it is a late gamer here on Omen, because he will have the space, he will have the time to deal the damage. Because all the resources from Nativz will be focused on that one target in Hiddo. Yeah,
it's just, man, you could just drop a Rumble off on either of these carries, and they can no longer auto-attack, right? They just have to run. They cannot do anything. It's the same if you threaten with that Nico, they just have to walk backwards and you cannot hit. That's the problem I'm having, despite, you know, maybe Indecision shields eventually get too big. Right? Maybe they can buy enough space, and that's the idea here, but I think it's really hard to play. Just like you said, ease of execution. Right? It's so important with these compositions, and They've generated this kind of kiting back composition. Still, 1 minute on the dragon, 1 minute 20 on the dragon. Loads of deep vision. Take a look at all that deep vision around the blue buffs. And if that vision stays, expect a bunch of TP flanks on this next dragon. They've already prepped it. Really good stuff from Nativz already in advance.
They are going to take this turret down on the top side, cashing in on some gold here for the side of Nord. Meanwhile, Nativz with a 3,000 gold lead, haven't been able to take a single tower yet. Once they start cracking towers, that gold lead is about to really expand off it. So a real threat for the side of Nord, and they need to find somewhere an opportunity to get themselves some kind of victory. As Omen has now finished up the Nativz 2, got that crown, had that crown for a little while. Pretty standard build into the likes of a Nico. So he's gonna block that initial burst coming out from the Nico. But Omen, we praised him for his Azir previously, and he needs to show us once again why we did so.
Seneca just clearing out vision down that blue buff that I just highlighted. Really, really good stuff. They learned from that initial flank, right? Twice in a row now. They've not allowed Twist to secure that vision and keep it there now. Both teams a little bit hesitant, right? Because it is only second dragon for Nativz, but they do not want to give over a Baron. You can see Seneca running over to Baron too. Really good vision control right now. Securing vision on Baron just in case of the cross map. If they go for dragon and Nativz go for that Baron, they have it warded. Now, it's just a battle of prio. These bushes definitely going to help, you know, more vision control there as Nativz have to force an engage. They're face checking into Nord now.
Going to block off the entrance to the jungle with that line of vision, making it very hard to walk forwards. This dragon is up. Everybody is on this side of the map, and once again, Twist not able to find that proper flank, but he does have the blast cone angle to come in as Kakos is just buying some space. Then Foxy's going to charge forward. Twist trying to chase in, and Nord back away. Here comes the Ornhorn. They're going to look to try and turn onto Denfox. They do land the knock up onto him, but Vladdy being a nuisance, pretending to be Stefan right now. Dragon half HP. Omen giving some damage down onto it as they are actually going to finish up Daisy here, and that should just be the end. No, Stefan flashes over the wall, secures himself the kill. Vladdy misses the pop blossom this time, but the health bars on indecision are just oh so low. Twist trying to find an opportunity to jump in, but he's unable to do so. They find a killing spree from Denvoxny onto Kakos, and Nord, they lose the dragon and their top laner.
And it's just a huge standoff where Nativz, they just let Nord tank damage from this dragon as Nord desperately try to engage, but that's not what their comp is good at. Right, their only engage is the Ornn, then there's no follow-up. You can't have a Braum. You saw Seneca trying to run forward, trying to turn off this dragon because they were getting poked down continuously. And the second that catch costs headbutts a wall, right, that's that threat down, and Shikari pulls the trigger, drops the red carpet on them, and they can no longer hit. They just have to get out of there.
Well, 25 minutes on the clock.
They feel like they haven't done much damage in the fight for Nord, I do want to say. It very much felt like as soon as Nord tried to go for the engage, Nativz were like, no, we just stood around the rumble ultimate, and now you can't do anything really. You're forced to run, as Aragon said earlier, and we saw that in this fight. Omen, I think, was able to get, 5 auto attacks off, and he's not at the point where he deals that much damage. Hiddo basically only running in the fight, so they're unable to really do anything in return to what Nativz wants to do to Nord. So Nativz, they feel like they have a free fights, actually. It's crazy how much the Rumble Ultimate does this game compared to last game.
You honestly, letting the Rumble through is, I think, Nord's biggest mistake in the last 2 games. Even though they won that first game, I just feel Rumble's so powerful right now. And it just, the team fight spacing it can buy. It doesn't even have to necessarily win you the team fight. It can just buy space. And Hiddo, every game, has just been Rumble ulted or Rel ulted or just some kind of tool to stop him from actually entering into the fray and being able to play. As Invoxy was thinking about trying to get a little bit of damage off there onto Hiddo, but isn't going to be able to find that opportunity to do so.
The W is the post coming out. Hiddo getting outranged is the theme. Look at that ultimate,
man.
Yeah, he just doesn't get to play. They're going to redemption him to heal him, but the tower's gone. Omen wasn't in position to go for that flank for the shuffle and clear the wave out. They are going to throw the Ornhorn down onto Shikari, weirdly, here. As Kakos misses the knock-up. Not sure about that one. A bit of a desperation play there on the side of Nord.
I like the idea. Had there been any follow-up available from Nord, because you had just forced out probably the most important ultimate from Nativz, in my opinion, with the red carpet. So, trying to take advantage of that, I like that thought, but Tashkos was simply too alone. There was no one able to follow up. You don't have a Kaiser, for example, who could have jumped in to try and secure the kill as well with you. They had to walk in there, and that would have taken ages. So, despite the ultimate or the knock-up not hitting, it wouldn't have mattered because that was just no follow-up.
Yeah, I think you have to bite the bullet. Right, I think you have to bite the bullet. Having priority on Xayah first pick and giving over Rumble just doesn't add up to me. Right, and I think that it's not a controversial opinion. I think Rumble destroys Xayah. You just drop the ulti on her and you force the ultimate very easily, and you can't deny them like the ability to hit. right? I think this is it's definitely a ban. You have to maybe you buy the bullet and ban Yone and just concede it and try to draft into it, or maybe potentially Omen picks the Swain into the Yone as well, right? But whatever they're doing right now, it's not working. I completely agree with you. Team fight prowess, the AoE from Nativz, and the ability to stop the carries from the side of Nord hitting is too much.
Yeah, it's a lack of agency, unfortunately, for Nord.
Exactly.
In this game, where I feel Nativz, they've just... I'd like to say they're drafting well, but they're just getting a lot of the strong picks every game,
It's just lifeless,
right?
isn't it?
They're literally like... Nativz are kind of just getting away with basically drafting the freest drafts ever, because Nord don't have any interest on the rail. They put way more priority on this Xayah for Hiddo. And it is a good pick, but I think if you're going to pick Xayah, you need to have things that can not just do what Rumble does and target her and take half her health from a distance.
Well, recall's coming in. Wards are going to be refreshed. You can see no wards there for the side of Twist. Wants to be able to come back and keep control of that Baron vision, but now it's going to be third Dragon. For either team, whoever gets it is going to be incredibly important. Hiddo here, trying to get to that Bloodthirster, you know, to be able to lifesteal back up, and you can just see how much they're investing in keeping him alive. You can see the Radiant Virtue, the Redemption Healing you highlighted before, the Moonstone, the Locket from the Brawn. Please, Hiddo, can you survive all this AoE? We're begging you. You need to be able to hit. Same with you, Omon. He's got a crown, right? Like, I'm not an item Andy, but it's so funny that the items so hard reflect the struggles they're having. As Nativz now in Voxney going to be face checking. See if Nord can do anything, but they don't have much engage.
No, I think also the fact that Hiddo's resetting, they want to turn their attention towards getting that Bloodthirster hopefully finished up by this next fight, and that could be a major opening for them here in this game. Is going to finally get that reset off. No, actually decides not to cancel it because Baron's going to get started up. Indecision.
There it is.
Sees that it's happening. Twist is just playing that flank duty, though. They don't have the teleport. In comes Kakos, looking for the knock-up, able to catch it onto Vladdy. Vladdy not going to get caught out yet, and in they jump. The Baron is secured. Twist just blocking anybody getting in range, and now Shikari able to put the carpet down for Nord to escape on, as Vladdy trying to get away. Should be able to do so. They can't catch him out. Gonna chase forwards, but Nord, they just have zero agency. They can't do anything.
This game is so different than game number 1. You can see it here. Nativz did exactly what they did in game 1, just rush the Baron. Last time, though, they lost 3 members and really weren't able to do anything with the Baron. This time, though, they get out with 5 members. Nord, though, looking for the soul point to get something in return here. Nativz, though, could look to respond.
Yeah, the Twist comes in with the engage. This draft, it's just so lifeless, isn't it? They're relying purely on scaling and front to back, but they just can't find the engages, and they're just so reliant on Nativz to engage on them, but Nativz don't have to engage on them. They can let the Dragon do the work. They can poke with Kha'Zix. They can poke with Kai'Sa W as well. And they can also poke with the Equalizer. There's so many other options that Nord needs to consider. Look at top lane. Push as well for the side of Shikari with that Baron buff. Who's going to match him? Right, I don't think Catchcots can. No one can kill these Baron minions. And again, you have to drag your carries around the map to deal with it.
There's a bit of a problem. Omen! Failing horribly there as Foxy dashes out to safety, getting himself the kill. And yeah, I think this might be an assessment going into game number 3 angle here for Nord. I think they need to go, okay, we can't let the Rumble through again. Hiddo is not getting to play the game.
It's either the Rumble or you dump the Xayah pick, right? Like, the Xayah is a fantastic champion, especially when you're used to getting Rakan every single game, getting the duo. But Xayah has weaknesses, right? And they're being exploited by Nativz. They knew they would first pick this Xayah, and they just keep drafting very well into it. In the last game, they also struggled early game, but managed to come back with some dream team fights. But they had more agency. And going into game 3, you get a bit of a head scratcher, but that's probably what you want to do.
Yeah, it's going to be a miracle for the side of Nord to be able to hold on to this. Nativz just out drafting and outplaying, and yeah, other than those 2 side lane towers, they're on track for, and the Dragons, I guess, on track for almost a perfect game. They've not dropped a single kill. Then Voxney 4-0-1, level 16. He's got a 2-level lead over Hiddo. The crit Kai'Sa really coming in dividends here for him, and he's going to go back, get his 4th item under his belt as well. While Hiddo has only just recently finished up that Bloodthirster. Now, there is the good news of the fact you have the Ornn. So it is now slowly handing out those ornaments, giving a slight advantage or a slight kind of recovery and respite to the fact that they were down in items. Just a few additional stats in the pocket, but, you know, a full Last Whisper finished up. Well, not Last Whisper, sorry, that's a Lord Doms. A full Lord Doms finished up over, you know, a empowered Navari. Not the greatest thing. Not the greatest feeling.
Yeah, the game is looking very rough now, right? You're 10k gold down. You're an item behind on most of your important carries. Look at Chikari, almost at the 4 item point. I think Nord, they have to open a Bible and say some prayers because they need to use these 2 minutes just to try and scale up a little bit more, and then maybe they can find their way into a 5v5. But it's so hard for this team at the moment.
I think your lifeline, if you're Nord, is the fact that you're almost out back. I gotta hold that thought as TP flank comes in. Twist is looking for the engage.
Yeah, they do get that tower down, but that's gonna be it. Shikari has himself the equalizer. They do have the Azir turret, but a beautiful equalizer, catching onto everyone. They are gonna heal back up thanks to that redemption, and honestly, yeah, that might be best case scenario for Nord.
You could see just how the idea of this composition, you have so much peel and shield and healing, but that's exactly what I was about to say. Right, your lifeline in this game as Nord is the fact that you're so close to Chemtech Soul. And Chemtech Soul empowers shielding and healing, right? And makes you tankier at lower HP. So maybe their shields and healing will hit a threshold. You know, a point of, you know, no return for the side of Nativz where they just cannot out DPS them. And that's what Nord's idea is generally. We'll have to see if they secure this 4th dragon. And if they do, maybe that's the game plan.
It's a tall ask. It's a very, very tall ask, unfortunately.
Managed to get 3, though. Well, 0-7.
Yes.
But,
they've been very good at getting early dragons. I think that's like Nord's major strength out of any of the other teams in the playoffs is they are one of the best early dragon takers. They're very proactive at doing that. Nativz, I mean, we saw their game versus Vern. They were very slow tempo. That's exactly how they like to play the game. So they're kind of okay to give up those early dragons, providing they can try and get them later.
It's just a minute until that Drake, and they could look for it. Sadly, though, for Nord, Nativz, Shikari just hit his 4th item. That is a Ravenous Death Cap coming through. But good news for Nord. Omen got his 3rd item as well. They do have the stopwatches if they're caught out in the wrong position. The thing is, it's been so long since a full-on 5v5 that Bloody, he's just scaled up. He's gotten 3 items himself, and if he gets a big Pop Blossom, it will pretty much one-shot anyone, regardless of who they are. With that Ravenous Death Cap as well, he's gone for a full one-shot build, and we have to really look out for him in the fights.
Look at Twist, okay? They're conceding mid-prior right now to find flanks and push out top lane. The top lane's a problem, of course, but and Oman's having to recall, but they've conceded mid-priors to secure Twist this really juicy flanks, and we've seen this before, right? I feel like we're getting a prediction of what's going to happen in this upcoming fight. Is Indecision. I get picked here.
Yeah, just pops the spell shield,
Twist.
The teleport coming in, Twist there. This might be Hiddo in danger. He blasts going to the wrong side. He has the flash, tries to reposition. Instant stopwatch comes in. They're going to try and get everything onto Hiddo, but he's down. What a Pop Blossom. What an equalizer. What a fight. Nativz wipe the floor with Nord, and this is done.
It's just all Twist, isn't it? Every single dragon fight, he manages to find these dream flanks. He's so patient with it. I'm so glad we highlighted that because he was sitting there for a full minute. Yes, you've lost mid-prior, but who cares? You found the best positioning for the upcoming fight, and he just pulls it off.
And a couple of blunders there. Omen TP's in to no man's land, really, and just finds himself in the middle of the wombo combo. Hiddo taking the wrong blast cone as well, and they were lined up for the wombo combo. They really got put into both the equalizer and the Pop Blossom.